welcome to episode 41 of Knitting Needles and Stems. I'm Carrie, I'm the host, and today is Sunday, August 23rd, 2026. Today's segments will include works in progress, finished objects, knit-alongs, my patterns, and gardening. I'd like to thank all of my returning viewers for coming back and welcome all the new viewers. You can find me as Knitting Needles and Stems on Ravelry, Facebook, and Patreon. My Ravelry username is Kabammer. Let's start with what's new. A few things have been going on. Me and my husband are thinking about buying some fishing kayaks because we really like fishing and we wanted to try them out first. And last weekend we actually had some friends let us borrow some kayaks and we both really like them. That's the first time either one of us has ever been in a kayak, and neither one of us wiped out or flipped or anything like that. They're really sturdy, a lot more sturdy than I thought they would be, and it was a lot of fun. So we're gonna be looking into getting some kayaks for fishing. I might have to add a fishing segment onto this podcast. If anybody's interested, let me know if you like fishing too. I've been baking some sourdough, of course. Last weekend I made key lime sourdough donuts, which were delicious. The recipe it's for cake donuts, so I bought some cake donut pans because you just put them in the pan and bake them. And the recipe said to just mix the stuff, put it in the pan, and bake it right away. And I was like, well, that's not going to work out very good because then you won't get the sourdough flavor. The whole point of sourdough is to let it simmer and ferment and get that good flavor in there. So I let mine sit in the refrigerator overnight. The donuts ended up a little more airy than I think they were supposed to, and they just kind of absorbed all of the glaze. They were delicious, but I don't think that they were the right consistency or the consistency they were supposed to be. So I will try them again and do them as the pattern says instead of letting them ferment overnight. And then just today, I baked a loaf of root beer float bread. And I went to church and then I came home and I cut a piece off and it tastes just like a root beer float. You basically make a loaf of sourdough, but instead of water, you're using root beer for your liquid. So it tastes exactly like a root beer float. It has a cream cheese spread that you put inside of it when you're shaping your loaf, and it's just really good. The last thing that I want to tell you about for what's new is that in one of the groups that I'm in, I noticed that there was a post that they really need knitted knockers. Knitted knockers are prosthetics that are knit for people who have had mastectomies. So there's a link below for all the specifications. There's only certain yarns you're allowed to use for those, but they are in dire need because they had an Instagram reel that reached 3 million views and they've had a ton of requests for them. So it's a really good opportunity to make something that will help others. I'll probably be making some myself if I can get my hands on some of the yarn that's accepted. And so yeah, just think about making some knitted knockers. And you might notice that I'm sitting somewhere else. This is my craft room that I've been talking about redoing. My daughter has been living in the old craft room and everything was just jammed in there together. So we haven't redone the floors or painted or anything, but I had to get my stuff out of there so that she could have a little bit more room because she's going to be here through the summer. Through the school year this year because she's doing online classes. So I do have my yarns back here and a little bit of setup just for now. All right, let's move on to works in progress. The first thing that I've been working on that I think I'm going to continue working on, I know I go back and forth from working on my project calendar to work on every single thing during the week. And then I go to one thing and I want to get it done, but I really want to get this done. This is my Corner to Corner blanket by Sammy Bristow. This is the one that I'm using all of my random leftovers for. So it is literally all of the colors that you could possibly imagine, all the weights of yarn. I didn't, the only one I don't have on here is lace weight, because I tried some with lace weight and the weight of the others pulled too much for that to work out, and it made a hole in the lace weight. So I had to actually rip that out and do that section again with another color. So this is where I was last time. This is where I am today. So I got about 1.5 inches, just like my last recording. My cat is in here wandering around. I don't know where he is now. Dexter. Anyway, this is how far I've gotten. And I still have a long way to go. You can see the 2 corners here. I'm making it throw size. So I am on the decreased rows, but I have a lot of stitches in this section. So again, this is the Corner to Corner blanket by Sammy Bristow, using a lot of random leftovers. The next thing that I worked on is my Coziest Memory by Kemper Ray. This is the one that I am using my leftover fingering weight for, if I have any leftovers from the most recent finished projects. And I have added 2 squares. This one was just a random one from the retreat that I had in the bag, and then this one is from one of my finishes that I'll talk about later. I am on the 3rd row. I need to put it on the bed. I need to, when I get done with this row, I need to put it on my bed and see if I need to just make it square. It's 25 squares wide, and I'm using the weave and Steven technique to weave in the ends as I go, and hopefully 25 by 25 will be big enough. Maybe 25 by less will be big enough. So we'll see. But I'm just doing a black row in between the rows of the squares. And then I'll do a black border on the outside. So again, that is the Coziest Memory by Kemper Ray, using my most recent fingering leftover or just random leftovers, which right now most of my random leftovers are from the Yarniacs retreat that we went to in June. The next thing that I've been working on, I worked on just a little bit, is the Cabled Aisles Throw. This is by Helen Gibson. And for this one, I'm using Knit Picks Mighty Stitch worsted in Mulberry Heather, Navy Heather, Cream, Spruce, Navy, and Celestial. So I finished the white square, and now there's 2 squares next to each other. So I'm using Intarsia to work on those together. And this is the 2nd stripe of the 3 stripes. So, so yeah, I mean, it's just different cables in every square. It's never a dull moment with this blanket, because it's just, like I said, they're all different cables. A lot of them I still have to look up what they are, the definitions or the descriptions in the pattern. The pattern is very well written, very well laid out. And yeah, so that one will be, that's a long-term project. It's for my daughter's wedding present, and she's not getting married this year like was originally planned. She's getting married next year. So again, that's the Cabled Aisles Throw by Helen Gibson, using Knit Picks Mighty Stitch in Mulberry Heather, Navy Heather, Cream, Spruce, Navy, and Celestial. Then we have the Top Down Seamless Bear by Sharon Wilkes. This is my bear for the month of August, and the theme is fruit. So his whole body is done with his little key lime shirt, sweater, and I have one arm almost completely done. And then I'll just do the other arm and cinch up his neck and he will be good to go. This is a really straightforward pattern. It makes a pretty good sized bear. I'd say he's at least a foot tall. And I'm really happy with the way that he's working out. Again, that is the Top Down Seamless Bear by Sharon Wilkes. Then I worked on my Strawberry Field Socks by Jackie Harding. This is a pattern. Oh, for this one I'm using Four Crows fibers, black and white and dyed all over in the Gone Fishing colorway. Leading Men Fiber Art Showstopper in Cherry Pie and Haiku Kobasi in white. So this pattern is for it's written top down. You guys already know I like to make my socks toe up, so I've done toe up on mine. One of the feet is done. I'm going to keep it in this little holder here. And one of the feet is completely done, and the other one is really getting close to getting done. So I really love the way that this yarn is knitting up. Of course, I had to have the yarn because I love to make socks and I love fishing. So Gone Fishing colorway was perfect for me. And the strawberries are on the leg, and they're outlined in white. So I don't have to worry too much about them not showing up when it comes time for them to be done. So again, that is Strawberry Field Socks by Jackie Harding. Using Four Crows fibers, black and white and dyed all over in Gone Fishing. Leading Men Fiber Art Showstopper in Cherry Pie and Haiku Kobasi in white. And the last thing that I've been working on is my counted cross stitch. I'm making Day's End by Judy Gibson. And I am making my way across this 10 stitch or 10 row section here. And as I come up to the top of the color that I'm using, I just go ahead and fill in what I can to use up that piece of thread. So that way I'm not cutting it as much. And I seem to be getting more done that way. So I've started working on the cabin here. And I'll work on this every Tuesday. So it is getting done. I mean, it's slow going, but that's to be expected when you only work on it one day a week. So that is Day's End by Judy Gibson, counted cross stitch. And for spinning, I've been working on my Honey Gold Acres, 70% merino, 30% silver stellina. I'm actually done with all the singles and done with applying. One skein is still on the bobbin, on the wheel, because I like to let them rest before I take them off. And the other skein I will talk about in a little bit. Let's move on to finished objects. The first thing I'm going to show you is my Poinsettia Fingerless Gloves by Sybil R. For these, I used Fiber Optics Yarn Cashmere in Morticia and Mustache Yarn and Fiber Perfect Must Match in Equinox. And here they are. They were very fun to make. They are all short rows and they are perfect. I mean, the yarn was a rainbow, as you can tell. The only color that didn't end up in these gloves looks like to be the yellow. And they look like two separate gloves, but they go together anyway. So I really like them. If I make them again, which I might use a bigger needle because they are just a little bit snug for my hands. And I take them off. I mean, you can see just how skinny they are, but it's garter stitch, so it is stretchy. And so yeah, they do fit. But if I make them again, I would use a bigger needle. It is intarsia and short rows at the same time, which is a lot, and it's a learning curve for sure. But I'm really happy with how they turned out. I can start wearing them in the fall when the weather starts changing. Actually, today it's only going to be like 70 degrees, so if I went anywhere today, I could wear them. It might be a little crazy to wear them at 70 degrees, but I've been crazier than that, so I've done things crazier than that. So again, that's the Poinsettia Fingerless Gloves by Sybil R. Using Fiber Optics Yarn Cashmere in Morticia and Mustache Yarn and Fiber Perfect Must Match in Equinox. The next thing that I finished is a big finish. It is my Sea of Flames Poncho by Nancy McElmurray. For this one, I used 100 Ravens Yaksha in Starry Night and Apollo, and beads from Fire Mountain Gems. So here is the poncho. Look at that, you guys. And I actually posted a video on Patreon of the twirl, because when I twirl, it flies out, and it's just so cool. And you can see the beads on there. And it's just so comfortable. It's lightweight but warm, and the gradient is the Starry Night, and then I knew I wasn't going to have enough of just the Starry Night, so that's why I bought the Apollo in the color that it ended in, and it worked out perfect. And I like that I used the gold beads all the way through instead of switching to the purple. And I still have some gold beads left, so it's a great pattern. I would definitely recommend it. It's actually faster than it seemed because I started mine last year in September. But of course, everything else got in the way of it, and I worked on other things instead. But it's just a great poncho, and I really like it. So again, that is the Sea of Flames Poncho by Nancy McElmurray, using 100 Ravens Yaksha in Starry Night and Apollo. Then I made a Frosted Gem Snowflake by Elsa Koss. Here is this. All of my snowflakes, they will be stiffened and sent in the mail with my Christmas cards. So this one really, I mean, they all need to be blocked, which I use a 50-50 mix of Epsom salt and water. Heat it up until the salt dissolves, let it cool off slightly, dip the snowflake in there, squeeze out the excess water, and then pin them out. And then they're nice and stiff and can be used as decorations. So that was the Frosted Gem Snowflake by Elsa Koss. And then I have the Crystal Dreams Snowflake by Dreamcatcher. This one, I went through all the way through, except I didn't do the very last round, because the very last round was going to make these little diamonds that came out on the edges, and I really liked the way that it looked like this. So this is just one row short of what the actual pattern was supposed to be, and I really liked the way that it turned out. Again, this is the Crystal Dreams Snowflake by Dreamcatcher. Then yesterday, all in one day, I made a hat. This is The Stair by Katie Pomper. And I used leftover DK weight yarn that I had in my stash. Oh yeah, you can really see the cat. I was hoping the camera would pick up the cat. There are 3 cats going around. And the camera really shows it better than it shows in real life. I haven't washed it or blocked it yet. I'm hoping that when I wash it and block it, that the cat will show up better in real life too. But this is this gray I dyed to make one of my patterns that I sell. It's the Go Your Own Way cowl. And this striping I actually hand spun. It's merino and tinsel that I hand spun. So again, this is The Stair by Katie Pomper, and this is the perfect time to have made this pattern because National Cat Day was earlier this month. Then I made my youngest daughter is at the Boundary Waters this weekend, with one of her groups, and they asked her to bring silent fidgets with her because she's a fidgeter. Like she would, has clickers that she plays with and fidget spinners and just stuff to keep her hands occupied so that her mind can pay attention. Kind of like us knitters, we knit so that we can pay attention. But anyway, I made her a pea pod marble fidget toy by Shanna S. Cohen. And I have a picture of it right here. And it's just, I took one of her marbles. She has 100 of marbles because she used to really love playing with her little marble track that, she'd watch the marbles go down. She'd play with it with the cat. She'd play with it by herself. She would race the marbles. She had a lot of fun with marbles. So took one of her marbles and stuck in there. Used leftovers from just random fingering leftovers that I had. I held them double and made the DK version. And that is what we came up with. And that is the fidget that she took with her on her trip. I hope that it's helping her be occupied and helping with her fidgeting. And I'll get to hear how it went when she gets back on Tuesday. And the last thing that I finished was a skein of Honey Gold Acres, 70% merino, 30% Selena in the Heidelberg colorway. Here it is, and I know that you can see that gorgeous sparkle on the camera because I can see it really well. And this yarn is soft and sparkly, and I don't have any idea what I'll make with it. So if you have any ideas of what to make with super sparkly yarn, that is not for my kids because they do not take care of hand knits and I do not want it to felt. Then drop them in the comments below. Mention it in the Ravelry group. Find me on Patreon. Just let me know what you think I should make. This first skein is exactly 50 grams and 227 yards. And the yardage measurement was from before I washed it. So it's just an estimate. I used my new Stanwood Needlecraft yarn yardage counter for that. This is the yarn yardage counter. It has the nice counter here. You just reset it and you thread your yarn through here, and as it spins, it counts the yards of the yarn. So I figure having as I was winding it off of the wheel I wound it off of the wheel and onto my Swift instead of onto a Nitty Knotty, and it counted as I did the spins on the Swift. And I figure that's at least a rough estimate as to what it is. I'll probably measure it again once I ball it up before I make something with it, just to make sure that I have the amount that I think I have. But this was a nice investment if you are a spinner and you want to know how much yarn you have when you spin it. Okay, let's move on to knit-alongs. The first knit-along that I participate in is in the Project A Month Cal group. And for the month of August, we are doing the Strawberry Field Socks by Jackie Harding. I showed you mine. A couple people in the group already have theirs done, and they look really good. I will not have mine done by the end of August, but the threads in that group are always open for you to come and share your projects when you get them done. So again, that's the Project A Month Cal group in the Strawberry Field Socks by Jackie Harding. The next knit-along that I participate in is in the Yarniacs podcast group, and that is the Colors of Fall knit-along. And we say knit-along, but it's really whatever you want to do along, as long as it is fiber-related. You can weave, spin, knit, crochet, whatever, as long as there's a color in your project that looks like one of the Pantone colors of the year, it counts. So my poinsettia fingerless gloves were one of my projects for that, as is the stair hat. So those are like projects 2 and 3 for that knit along. You only get one entry for finishing projects, but we always like for everybody to come over and share so we can all see what everybody's making. Again, that's the Yarniacs podcast group, Colors of Fall knit along, and that runs from June 21st to September 22nd, 2026. Then there's the Crazy Sock Lady podcast. She's having her summer sock camp 2026. By the time this comes out, there will only be about a week left. August 31st is when that is done, May 25th to August 31st. If you finished a pair of socks within that time, come over and share them. Whips are eligible for this one. So I've got 2 or 3 pairs that I entered for that. I won't have another pair of finished socks before the 31st of August, but there are so many great socks in there. I mean, people just make so many socks. It amazes me how many socks everybody makes. So that's the Crazy Sock Lady podcast, Summer Sock Camp 2026, from May 25th to August 31st, 2026. And in the Knitting in the Loft group, we are having our Summer Challenge 2026, which is short rows, structural, and decorative. And that runs from June 19th to September 1st. So this one's coming to an end too. There's lots of short row patterns. Almost every pair of socks that I make has short rows because I do a short row heel. The Fish Lips Kiss heel is a form of a short row heel. My poinsettia fingerless gloves were for that because it has short rows and intarsia, which intarsia don't have anything to do with short rows, but it's a short row pattern. So if you have started and finished anything within that time, then come on over. If you start a project that has short rows and don't quite finish it, you can still get points for prizes with having just started the project. So come over and share them with us. That's in the Knitting in the Loft group, Summer Challenge 2026, short rows, structural, and decorative, from June 19th to September 1st, 2026. And the last knit along that I participate in is in the Craft, Cook, Read, Repeat podcast group, and it is their bingo. It runs from May 25th to September 7th, 2026. I actually got my coverall. All I needed in the last episode was one more thing, and I finished reading Japanese Gothic that was recommended by Monica, and it was an interesting book. It was a book with a definite ending. Now, a lot of the books that I've been reading for this and other books that I read regularly just seem like it's more open-ended at the end. This one was a definite finish. Like, this is done. There's not going to be any more. So, and it was interesting. It's about parallel two different timelines, people on 2 different timelines, and they get to interact through this magic portal, and it was really interesting. Excuse me. So, yeah, I got my coverall. That's all the knit alongs that I have for now. There is another one coming up, and I will talk about that more on the next episode. Let's go on to my patterns. So patterns on Ravelry as carried from Fleece. I do have a shawl pattern in tech editing in testing right now. So if you are interested in testing my new shawl pattern, you can hop over to my Ravelry group and join the test. Look at the specifications and you can join the test. And then again, I'm going to talk about my Colorwork Hat Pattern that is accepted to be in Cast On magazine. Look for that coming up in the Winter Edition 2026. Now, let's move on to gardening. Today for gardening, I wanted to give you an update on the plants that I put outside for the summer. I especially wanted to show you this orchid because it has just gone crazy. There are over 30 flowers on this. Look, That orchid, look at all those flowers. It's just so beautiful. And there's the orchid. Don't mind my watering cup there. This is my bunny ears cactus. It's doing pretty well after having been repotted. It does look like a couple of the lobes are going to fall off, but there are new ones to take their place. The Christmas cactus is doing well. The air plants did not fare very well. They seem to be drying up. I don't really know how to take care of them, and you can't find any good resources online. Looks like Flowey is doing pretty good. The plant that my husband got me is doing really good. The new orchid died, so this is all that's left of that. It's completely dead, so it does happen, unfortunately. Then this H&R block cactus. This one has really loved being outside. And I think it's in the optimal spot right here in the sun for it, because it is just so happy. It just looks so happy. This is my Flaming Katie. Seems to be doing really well. These were just babies when I transplanted them. My peace lily is doing good. It needs to be watered right now and it'll perk right back up. But it's doing well. And we have the canna lily over here. It was flowering like crazy. Now these leaves are starting to die. There's some new shoots coming up. And I wanted to show you too, we have random gourd plants that just are taking over our front, right by our deck here. So I don't know what kind of gourds they are. They might be pumpkins. I'm not sure. If you recognize this flower, let me know what you think it is. And so yeah, that's all that I have for you today. So until next time, keep doing what you love. Bye.